Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us again in our monthly campus updates meeting. This week, we're going to look at some changes to campus licensing that have occurred quite recently. Then Jay Epton from Adobe is joining us, and he is going to be discussing Adobe Sign and how it can be integrated into Microsoft products. And what we'll do is we'll leave Q&A to the end, but feel free to drop any questions into the chat as we go along. Okay, so let's get started. You'll be glad to know I haven't got too many slides, and Jay will do most of the talking. You'll be glad to know. But some important changes have happened in campus, and the first of them is Microsoft Defender for Servers licensing has changed. Previously, you used to buy it as part of your campus agreement, and you would buy a license for every virtual machine that you were protecting. That has now changed, and there are two new versions available, versions P1 and P2. I'm not going to go into the differences between the two versions now, but if you want more information, the link is on the slide, and I've dropped it into the chat window as well. So the P1 and P2 versions are available as part of Defender for Cloud in Azure. Now, Defender for Cloud is Microsoft's system for protecting resources in the cloud. It not only protects server VMs, it protects other Azure resources as well. But on top of that, it's a multi-cloud protection system. So you can protect resources in AWS if you want, but also you can protect on on-premise VMs as well. The way it is licensed, it's licensed per workload. It's a per minute cost. So if you turn off a VM, you don't pay for it anymore. You also don't buy a license as part of your campus agreement. What you do is you pay for it on a pay-as-you-go basis within your Azure subscription. And that can vary because you can turn resources off and on as you need. The product itself will integrate with Defender for Endpoint, so you can manage it all from the Defender for Endpoint portals. Yeah, so that's it for that. So it's changed, and it's only available now in versions P1 and P2 through Azure. However, if you already have it on your agreement, we may be able to request a special amendment from Microsoft to keep you on that for the duration of your agreement. Next, we're going to look at Power Apps licensing. Now, Power Apps licensing is included in Office 365, so you're entitled to Power Apps for all your staff and students. However, this license falls short for a lot of people once you start using it in earnest, primarily due to the requirement to use an on-premise connector or premium connectors to connect to things like SQL Server and stuff like that. So once your requirements go over what you get for free within your agreement, then you need to buy a license for those users. So there's different ways of licensing. There's Power Apps per user. That means that user can run an unlimited number of apps and create an unlimited number of apps and access an unlimited number of portals. And obviously, they get access to premium connectors. Then there's Power Apps per app. This is for users that aren't going to use many apps, but need a particular app to run. And that allows them access to one app, one portal, and obviously, again, the premium connectors. And they can be added up. So you can buy 2 of these licenses if they want to run 2 apps. Then there's Power Apps portals. Now, Power Apps portals gives users an unlimited number of users access to your system, but it's licensed on a per login basis per month. So if you have 1,000 users logging into the portal a month, you need to have licenses to cover for that amount of users. So that licensing isn't new, and it's been around for a while. However, what Microsoft have done in September is add a new way of licensing your Power Apps. So with this, you don't buy a license as part of your Power Apps again. It's a pay-as-you-go license. And you pay for your pay-as-you-go through your Azure subscription. The way it works is, if an user accesses an app within a month, then you pay for that license within a month. If they don't access it the next month, then you don't pay for their access in that period. So this type of licensing is particularly useful for apps for a large number of users. So let's say you had all your staff and all your students wanting to access an app, but it's really accessed very infrequently. So it's a cheaper way components that have been introduced, a type of app that is needed by a large number of users, but infrequently used. Okay, so that's Power Apps. And next I'm going on to Imagine Academy. So Imagine Academy is a benefit of your campus agreement, that it provides you a portal for your staff and students to get access to official Microsoft courseware for things like Word, Excel, PowerPoint. It gives you fundamentals training. So for fundamentals of cloud, fundamentals of Azure, that sort of stuff. And you can give access to your staff and students to this resource. So very useful resource. That's a benefit of your agreement. However, it's coming end of life at the end of December this year. But don't worry, you can still access all these great materials from Microsoft, because Microsoft are transitioning all the materials over to MS Learn. Now, there are 2 areas in MS Learn that are going to be of particular interest to you. The first is the MS Learn Educator Centre. That is where staff would go to look at what is available so that they can allocate them for their learners. And the learners could be staff or students. And then the MS Learn for Educators is where people access that material. So this is coming at the end of December this year. Now, one final thing to consider, on the 1st of November 2022, Microsoft are going to
was around GDPR and
30 free certification vouchers for you to take these MCP or Microsoft Office Specialist exams, and they're going to be in your portal on the 1st of November 2022. Those exams are going to be, those vouchers are going to be valid until the 30th of October next year. So you can use those for your staff and your students to increase their skills. Okay, those are my updates this month. So now it gives me great pleasure to pass you over to Jay Epton from Adobe, who's going to be talking about Sign.
Morning, everybody. My name's Jay Epton. I'm the Hyperscale Partner Alliances lead here at Adobe. The reason I've been invited to present today is obviously to talk around the Adobe Acrobat Sign relationship between Adobe and Microsoft. Probably as a bit of background for you all, I actually used to work for Microsoft for 5.5 years. And so Jeffrey and the gang there were very kind in allowing me to take this opportunity to spend some time with you today. So let's jump right into it and talk about what this partnership is and what it really means. I think, being at Microsoft, I got to see how many partners and different partner types that Microsoft would work with. But in essence, the reason why this partnership is very different is that actually this is an investment plan between two organizations where both CEOs have fully invested and bought into the benefits that each company can give each other. And the analogy I've used in the past is if you think about buying a car from the forecourt, maybe a Mercedes or an Audi or something similar, obviously you can buy one straight from the forecourt and that's fine, and you can drive it and it's going to do what you need it to do. But if you want to improve that driving experience, then obviously you could buy certain upgrades, whether it's to the upholstery, to the stereo system, maybe to the alloys and the braking system, etc. So in other words, it improves that experience in terms of driving. And to a similar extent, Adobe has certain elements of technology that Microsoft don't provide and can't provide today. And that's really where this partnership really comes to life. And so let's dip a little bit more into what that really means. So as I mentioned earlier, it's a joint partnership, joint investment, $1 billion. So joint investment, 500 million each by each organization. But in essence, what we're able to deliver, and everything I'm about to talk about is focused on Adobe Acrobat Sign and Microsoft Teams. But the reality is that actually this could be Adobe Acrobat within Teams, or likewise, it could be either of the Adobe technologies embedded within Microsoft Dynamics, if you use Dynamics, but also if you're using Power Apps. And I think that leads on quite nicely from the previous overview, in that if you're creating your own Power applications and you're looking for ways to digitize digitize manual or paper-based processes, then obviously you can use the Adobe suite to be able to do that. So if you look at Adobe Acrobat Sign, we include all of the integration within the Microsoft environment free of charge within the license. And what that means is that you can actually, and I'll show you very quickly in a second, but you can go into the App Store within Teams, download Acrobat or Acrobat Sign, and you can literally have them embedded within your Teams environment. And the great news is that you never need to leave Microsoft Teams to actually, in the case of Adobe Sign, to create, send, or sign a document. And obviously from a productivity perspective, that's a great offering. If you think about Teams approvals, so one of the downsides of e-signature, and especially when we use email addresses and those kind of things, is that sometimes contracts can get lost in inboxes, or they can be distributed into junk folders, and therefore the contract signing process could be held up from that perspective. So by integrating with the approvals application within Teams, it means that you will have a notification that tells you that there's a responsibility on you to take an action with regards to a signatory process. We also have coming live sign within Teams, and this is the ability for you, a bit like
actually using
discussion, and we could drop a contract into the chat and somebody could sign that agreement in the Teams discussion. And that means as an employee, I could act as a witness on behalf of the organization or on behalf of the signature person to be able to confirm that they are the person that they said they are. We also have some pre-integration with Power Automate. So that means that, for example, if there are completed signed documents coming in electronically, we have some pre-integration that means that Power Automate could check that document, save that document in a SharePoint, or put that document in the cloud in Azure or somewhere different if you wanted to. So it really is around making these technologies really work hand in hand. One of the main benefits of this partnership is also from an IT perspective. So some of you on the call today may well be interested in the fact that actually you can set up and deploy Adobe Sign using the Microsoft 365 admin console. And that means that there's no additional cost in terms of new dashboards, new infrastructure, in terms of new learning to an extent. It allows you to deploy and do what you need. You can basically come back and tell you, with part of the Microsoft 365 admin console, we automatically integrate with the Azure Active Directory. the single sign-on, and the multi-factor authentication. So again, once you've gone through that security criteria, maybe first thing in the morning using your Microsoft environment, there's no need to keep re-signing in to Adobe Sign to be able to do that. And obviously, Adobe Sign is delivered on Azure. So therefore, if you're creating your own applications, then obviously the speed of integration and the speed of response is seamless. So I suppose the way I would look at it is that Microsoft Teams today, 2 or 3 years ago, was classed as digital transformation. And this really is about taking things to the next step or the next chapter. You've got the ability to enhance the worker knowledge and accuracy using some of the Microsoft tools, but also the Adobe technologies. And obviously, it's easy to deploy and integrate within your environment. But for me, it's about unlocking that user experience, increasing the capacity and the productivity of the workforce. But another key factor, which may or may not be of benefit to some of you, is the fact that we also integrate with the accessibility capabilities within Microsoft Teams, as well as offering our own accessibility capabilities as well. So whether you're hard of hearing, hard of sight, maybe you're colorblind, whatever it may be, we try to meet the needs of those users' requirements. And obviously, you can configure them on a per user basis as well. So the way I look at it is that Adobe Sign sits within that Microsoft environment from a productivity perspective, but also you may have other applications that you still need to maybe take data from or place data in. So when you think about, I don't know, Workday or Oracle, maybe it's Google, Icertis, Salesforce, whatever it may be, the idea being is that we do have the connectors and we can work with Pugh to make them available to you to try and help you speed up that integration work between the various applications. So this is just a quick example of my Microsoft Teams environment. And what you can see is that I've gone to the App Store, I've installed Acrobat Sign, I've got the application on my navigation bar. Once I click on the, what we can do, Mark, is we can respond to everybody. My personal homepage with the Acrobat Sign, you can see that all of my notifications for new documents that require my attention would be in the activity icon on the top left-hand corner. And then you can see along the bottom is the documents that I've created and sent. You can see their status. Mine are all signed, but this might say in progress, for example. We can see when the last reminders were sent. But likewise, you can set reminders either hourly, daily, or maybe business workday only. And also, this is my mobile version of Microsoft Teams, and you can see that even within that the Adobe Sign application is embedded and integrated within that. And it's all real time. So whatever I do on my mobile device would also be reflected on my desktop or laptop version of Microsoft Teams as well. This is a great example of really, once you start to look at your agreements, which ones have I sent? Where is it in the process? We also integrate with the Microsoft Teams bot. So let's imagine that Jay Epton's on holiday again, and you work with me in maybe the HR department, and somebody's asked for an update on a document that they requested for me to action. You could actually ask the bot to show, subject to security clearance, show the documents that you or that I've been sending out, and that you want to be able to obviously pluck one of those out and maybe update it, or send a reminder, or maybe even start the process again, and make sure that the continuation of the contracts or the contract still happens, even though I'm on vacation and I don't need to be disturbed. So I suppose really, the one thing I want you to take away from today's presentation is that from a Microsoft Teams perspective, obviously you're looking at it, it's a platform for you to collaborate and integrate and work within the different departments, but also thinking about what paper-based or manual processes do you have? Where is there paper in your business? Where is there, manual processes that actually we could use Acrobat and or Adobe Sign to be able to really digitize those? And by putting them within the Teams environment, number one, obviously speeds things up. It helps you from a sustainability perspective. But because of the way that we integrate within Teams, we can also save all of the audit trail and the documents within SharePoint as well. So obviously from a, from a security and an auditing perspective, you've got that documentation and information. So that's me in terms of my overview. Obviously, if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them, but I'll hand over the control back to you. Well, you're on mute.
As a year. And
there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Right. So just a quick quick slide to remind everybody that we are running the next webinar on the 16th of November. Alan Crawford from Microsoft is going to be joining us and talking about Beaver again, but all the new components that have been introduced by Microsoft over the summer. So thanks, Jay.